Just getting myself sorted. Everything's changed. Alrighty, we should be streaming. There we go. Yes, we are. All right, welcome. Took me a few minutes this morning to get on. Everything was new sign up to everything new again. And yeah. So how new are you feeling? Where you at? Oh, I was working out this morning, trying to work out what's most significant to share with you all, because so much going on in the world and in our lives. Yeah. So to start, let's just connect. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times. Let's just connect, and then I'll go into what I'm feeling. We will go into that would be helpful. I think every human needs to know these aspects, but you know, I could be wrong, and it could just be me nerding out on information, and you know, I just get what I get, right? Hey Lisa, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Who's on? Oh, of course I get a phone call right in the middle. Go away. Call me later. No, see? Oh, no, I don't want to talk to you right now. I want to talk to you. All right. So if you're here, let me know so I can see you. And you know, it builds the energy. It's like if they keep calling. They're calling from all over the place. Okay, so that's going to cut that phone out for a bit, but welcome. Someone really wants to, there's 3 different numbers. So spam. Anyone that knows me knows I don't answer my phone. I never answer my phone. So if you want to talk to me, you're going to message me or email me, and then I'll call you, right? I don't answer my phone. Call me, leave a message, and I'll call you back. My phones are always on silent. Why? Because I'm always doing something on them. They're not necessarily my phone, right? So anyway, just in case you wanted to call me, best to text me or call me, leave a message, and I will call you back. Unless on the odd chance I see it like that 3 times, but we're busy. All right, so it's interesting because I've got the gong, you know, thing in this hand, and I'm spinning my feet in the other hand, spinning my foot while I'm talking. Interesting. All right, so just bring yourself here. Bring yourself here. Put in the chat. Just say g'day, or say hello, or hi, or whatever, you know. Or say, you know, what are we doing today? So that I connect with you a little bit. Feel yourself here, and this will give a chance for people to come in. But we're going to go into different types of energy, not necessarily just subtle energy, and how they overlap. Now, we'll do some sort of exercise. I've got something in mind, but for those of you that know me, I just go where the energy takes me in relation to what you might be needing at the time of this live. Okay, maybe think about, you know, what you want to, what's going on for you, and what you're willing to share, what thoughts and feelings might be around. Okay, so just bring yourself to this space. I'm going to hit the gong 3 times just to bring us together, connecting ourselves. If you're used to circle, connecting to everyone that's here live, and also those that might come and see the replay. Okay, so Just taking some breaths to bring yourself even into a few moments before you have to rush off or do something else. Take a deep breath. Breathing deep into the body and out. Those of you that know how to expand the aura, maybe take another breath. Just expand your aura. Welcome. Welcome to this space, our temple, whatever that is to you. And for those of you that may be a little sensitive, who's a sensitive or highly sensitive person or has a lot of sensitivities going, feels like you're opening up and everything's sort of bombarding you. Who's that? Who's that? Oh, the puppy. The puppy saying yes, yes. Probably not a puppy, but you know, it's a little dog. So he's a little puppy, even if he's 14, you know, old. How old is he? She 10 months. Oh, it is a puppy. I actually can't see because the light's behind me. Yeah, it's interesting in this room. I'm going to have to change it around because the window light's there, but when I close the blinds, it's too dark. I can't see, so sort of blinded on the computer a little bit because it makes the. I've never had a dog under 50 pounds. Cool. All right. Is it a Jack Russell? Jack Russell Cross? Can't quite see it. Anyway, he's sweet. It reminds me of my little man who was with us for 19 years. So, where was I before I was... Oh, it came from Romania. Oh, wow. Cool. I love Romania. I've been to Romania, did some work there, did some research. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. We won't go there today. Where are we going today? Sensitivity. Who's got some sensitivity? Just maybe put a little star or something in the chat. Some sort of emblem, or what do they call them? Emoji. Put an emoji in the chat to tell me that, you know, you have a sensitivity. It doesn't matter necessarily what. Or you could tell me what's going on. If you have, even if you haven't. All right, I'm going to pull this down a little. I want you to come to the thymus, the higher soul heart. And I just want you to mindfully create an infinity. Whether you start from the left or the right, with the right hand or the left hand, and very slowly, if you think you're going slow, go slower. Because if you're like me, you're fire, we do everything fast. Right? And I have to be mindful when I'm working on others that I have to go slower than my slowest. And just create or connect with this infinity at the thymus. Why? Does anyone know why? So I had no desire to share this, but it's what's come in as I start talking. This is just how I roll. Okay. So we did a breath that was expanding the aura. Now, for those of you that are sensitives, especially what's called kinesthetic. Good. Okay, Lisa. I got you today. I got you, sister. Feeling overwhelmed. Are you doing this figure eight slowly? What happens is that we can expand our aura, because people think, yeah, the aura goes way out, way out. Mine does. It's probably touching the neighbours way over there, right? It might even be touching you. But we can disconnect from the higher soul heart at the chest, right? There's minor vortices. And if you're a kinesthetic, mean a feeling, more of a feeling-based sensory system, you have a predominant minor vortex at the heart, right? Which means you're very heart-centered. You feel, okay? So if that's the case, and I tested, probably disconnecting from this, from the body basically, right? But from here, which means that you can have a really awesome aura out there, but things aren't filtrating well, and so they hit you. Does it feel like that, Lisa? They hit you. It's like, what? I feel like I'm naked. If your aura and this system is really depleting, so yes, she say yes. So this is probably for you. It's for all of us, but this isn't what I was going to share, and I'll go into that in a moment. However, if you're trying all these different ways to keep strong, and you're overwhelmed, and you're being inundated with information. We could call it energy, packets of information, data, the stuff, the world, people, words, right? How is your nervous system, your energetic nervous system, and your physiological nervous system, your biology? How are you managing? How are you dancing with that? So that's my primary, what I want to talk about today, and basically is really strong in my work, amalgamating my work as, 30 years, nearly 30 years as a trauma therapist, and working in mental health and whatnot, but also that work as a mystic and an advanced energy medicine practitioner, right, among other things, and amalgamating these. So how do we work with our spiritual aspects, our soul to spirit journey, and embodying our soul embodiment, and the reverence for this physical body? We have to connect heaven and earth, the earth and the heavens and the earth, or the spiritual and the material matter, us, the masculine and the feminine. All right, so we just did a little figure eight, and that should hold you for a while. If you're really getting overwhelmed, if you're magnet sensitive, like if you're in front of computers or technology, I don't know, whatever else, let me know in the chats. This one would be a good one for you, because it's connecting, it's for reconnecting the aura. It disconnects from that vortex at the heart, especially for kinesthetics, which is a sensory style. So I'm not going to go into the sensory styles necessarily today, but there's the four main ones: kinesthetic, visual, tonal, and digital, and they're in the aura in a particular sequence. So for me, the kinesthetic is the closest to my body, because that is my main sensory style, and then tonal, and then visual and digital. Okay, yours will be maybe similar, the same, or completely different. And this is why you're all of them. It's all there. Do you understand? It's all there. You have all the ingredients. However, which one is more prominent in a stress response? That's key. in a stress response, because when you're not in a stress response, they're all flowing, they're all there. But what happens when you get stressed or in a shock, or you have trauma? You're in your stress response. So your physiological, your biology of trauma starts to come in. It's encoded, all of that. So we'll be going into that over time, because what I'm finding, so I'll tell you why this is important now, more important than ever. When I do programs, majority of my programs are long. They're 10 to 12 months. The current one's 10 months. I'm only running a few this year. In the past, I've done multiple back-to-back, and had concurrent, all of this. So I see what's going on for people at different points in the evolution, the conscious evolution, because that's what we're about. We're about the development of the human as a species on all these levels, right? Bridging heaven and earth. The physical, mental health, nutrition, trauma, shock, wellness and vitality, energy, hormones, adrenals, all of that. The earthy stuff. They're like, I feel like whatever, or I'm overwhelmed, all of this. And the energetics, the subtle energy, and how that is impacted, or how that impacts, right? The physical, the biology. And then we've got beyond that. So there's all these levels of being human. And it doesn't matter what program I'm doing, whether it's intuitive studies. If you've done that, you'll recognize some of this, but from a different perspective, right? When we start with connecting with yourself. Yeah? Do you recall? Some of you have done those programs. We connect with the self. Why? It's the core of all work. Are you conscious? Are you aware of your physical system and what's going on? Do you have a relationship with yourself? And then what do we do? Those of you that have done that program, some of you have done it a few times. We start looking at that bridge with the energetics. What's the subtle energy doing? Right? What's the subtle energy doing? And then what do? We sit with the self, beyond the physical. However, we take that with us. It's not about disconnecting from the physical to go further and further and further. Right? You can try that. It's not foundational work. Meaning, at some point you'll fall. The boundary, the foundational stone will crumble, and you'll reach a ceiling. You can't go any further. It's about acknowledging and living, being, are-ing the wholeness. Yeah? So, how do we do that? Well, the first step, this is what I teach and what I do. And I only teach what I do, so the mystic teaches you direct experience. So as I'm teaching Psi, the 10-month Psi, we're in month 4 now, going into month 4. As I'm teaching, as I'm witnessing the students, and I get downloads constantly. They'll tell you, and some of you know that that's how it works. Even doing these, it's like as I'm talking, it's coming in. And what I'm being shown and how this all interrelates in a whole nother way. It's not different work, it's just the perspective. Because as you are, the world shall be. As you are, the stronger you are in your capacity to receive data, information, energy. It's all the same thing. You can hold it. You not only can hold it, you can process it, integrate it, be it. And this is what I do. Then I speak it and I share it with you. And whoever wants to listen or be that. I'll never tell you what to do. I just share the direct experience of myself and my students, people around me. So what I'm seeing, and what I've seen for a very long time, and have woven into the teachings, the specifically the spiritual teachings, is the understanding of the nervous system, both the physical, like the biology, the human, right, and the energetic. Why? Because what happens when there's change? What happens when there's change? Just off the top of your head. Yell it out. Put it in the chat. What happens when there's change in your life? Change in the weather, change in an idea, change in a diet, or you start exercising or you stop exercising, change in a relationship. What happens? There's lots of things that happen, but what's the core thing? Yes, I'm asking you a question. Oh, response via the nervous system. Yes. Yeah, the crowd goes wild, right? When there's change, whether it's good, seen as good change or not so good change, one of my beautiful nieces got married on the 8th in Australia, so a few days ago. And even though that may have been an awesome experience for everybody, what it took to get there from everybody was a lot, because there was people coming from all over the place. Okay, lack of sleep, plane delays, accommodation. So, right. But even if it's like the birth of a child or a new puppy, oh my goodness, yes, puppy, but poo and wee and vomit and, and crying through the night until, right? It's just like having a newborn, isn't it? I've raised a lot of puppies in my life. Yes, a lot. And not too bad, yeah. It's like if you get set up, you're good. I used to, my last puppy I had, literally, I just made the laundry. The laundry floor was just the puppy playpen, right? And I literally got a playpen for the door, like a baby's playpen for the door, and put it across so that it could see into the kitchen, so it could still see us and everything. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But like, it's stress. You've got another little being to look after, right? Lisa's saying chaos. So when there's change, so we could look at this from numerous goggles or glasses or viewpoints of the diamond, right? So as I saw the comment, I was also thinking of the puppy and change in the nervous system, but also there are the 10 bodies. And so the Psi program is 10 months, because we go through not only the 10 bodies, but numerous other energetics, and also our physiology and our trauma where it's stuck. So when there's change, our body goes, something is different, and then the minds can come in. So do you remember the, see, Rebel, remember when I did the intro to Psi and you were like, yeah, it doesn't really, well, this is it in real life, right? You come in to life, number one, soul body. You come in. Number two is the separation of like, oh, where am I, right? What? And number three is, right, so there's soul, negative mind, positive mind. Number four, neutral mind. So we're working in the neutral mind at the moment, month 4 in Psi, which is around the heart and a lot more. If you can understand the negative mind, the positive mind, and then how it needs to move into the neutral mind, is sort of what the nervous system's trying to do for your survival. It's so intelligent, it blows my mind. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know if this is interesting to you all or not, but I'm like, oh, I just think after 30 years, I'm still like amazed, you know, or when I sit for somebody. So it was my brother's daughter who got married, and she got married early because he was diagnosed with brain tumor. And right, so I've been working with him since I knew, basically in February. And I wish I could show you the video. I'll ask him first. He did say I could share anything about him if it will help other people, because he's a medicine man and wants to share his journey for others. But so he had a big time, right? And he was dancing on the dance floor with the bubble machine, and the bar staff caught him and videoed it. And it's so awesome because he's a big man. He's over 6 foot, and he's been through, you know, all sorts of things. But he has so much life in him. He's living his best life is what the caption was. He's just living his best life. He was dancing and singing by himself because they were still doing, they were all down by the river still, you know, moving their way up to have drinks and reception and stuff, right? So he's there doing his thing. So I'll see if I can post it, because I want you to see how, you know, there is obviously stuff going on for his system. Right, his system is in the stress response, and so I just tweak it every day. I gave him a break for a few weeks, for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I just left it, and then I knew he would have had a late night and partying with his family, well, my family, but the family and all the rest of it. So I was like, I better step in and just, you know, just help him a little. So what was my point? My point was that things happen and we have the stress response, right? But there are things that we can do, and where we are in our development in accepting. So even though you may be in your 50s or 40s or 30s, right? Have you worked through being here? Or are you still at the point of longing and wanting to return, going backwards? The acceptance of coming into form, which is number 3. 3 is form because it's the triangle, right? Coming into form and accepting that is the movement forward. This is how you get to number 4, which is the heart center, right? Each number up to 9, because 10 is basically all the numbers. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So the journey from 1 to 4, from incarnation to heart, is an awesome journey in itself. And then we start to move back to union. Okay, so we have our incarnation journey, right, to 4, going into 5, then moving into our work towards unity. Okay, some of you want to go backwards. You want to go home, but you want to go home backwards. You want to return, right? This type of return creates what Lisa said, chaos. It creates suffering. It creates so much pain and disengagement, right? The coming into the body is a miracle. It's a gift. We have to somehow navigate that change. The soul is like, I want to say like a toxin, but that's not what I mean. Hey, Graham. Not a toxin, but it's like the soul is, what's the word? Give me a word. It's like it's foreign. It's foreign to the body, okay? Do you understand what I mean? So the soul comes into the body. It's foreign. The soul's going, oh, what is this? Constriction, and like how I can't even fit in. Like it's too small, right? It's too small, right? And the body goes, oh, what? There's something else here. This is your journey, soul embodiment. It's not a quick journey. It's an ongoing journey. But when you fight against that soul embodiment, you're going to suffer. You're just going to suffer more than you need to, right? When we get to number 4, right, we get to the negative, the neutral mind. The neutral mind is that place in between, actually. So we did the infinity on the chest. So the figure 8 or the infinity sign, you have love and you have fear. You have the positive mind, you have the negative mind. What's in the center? Right at the heart center. The neutral mind, the neutrality. Now, neutrality isn't, and this was a point that I brought up yesterday in our Psi program. When we think about the freeze response, so think about the freeze response. Hey, Nicole. What is the freeze response? What do you know about the freeze response? Fight, flight, freeze, feign death, right? What do you, just off the top of your head, you know, what most people talk about? What the freeze response is, right? And I'll go back to this because it's related. So we get to this center point, this neutrality. It's not about not caring. It's not about, you know, sticking your head in the sand. It's not about, it's about seeing all of it, right? All the love, all the fear. Love builds from fear. Love builds from fear. Stay with me, because I'm just giving you the little bits and pieces, and we pull it all together. I'm a jigsaw puzzle, right? What comes out of my mouth is all the pieces to the jigsaw puzzle, and all we do is put the jigsaw puzzle together, but it may take you a little while to get all the pieces because there's so many pieces. Although it's very simple, our mind makes it complex. Why? Because we look at something and go straight into the negative, and the negative is there to assist you, right? To keep you alive, to assist you, It's neither good nor bad, right? And then we move into the positive, or we start off with the fear and we move into the love, or we start off on the earth as this human incarnate, right? And then we're going to move to the love, right? The earth is fear. And I have to re-educate on what fear is and what love is. Because what we've been told and how we experience it and language it is incorrect. It's just incorrect. Love just is, fear just is. It's what you do with it and how you bring your baggage from your triggers and how it's imprinted, encoded into your physiology, into your energy systems. It's both. Trauma is held in the body and held in your energy. Shock, trauma, stress, it's all held. So if you want to bring the, the understanding of the drop of the feminine, right? Everything here is an aspect of the feminine. Although in biblical Hebrew, interestingly enough, I just have my my book here. Every word is either masculine or feminine. The words are masculine or feminine. Blows my mind. Anyway, so much love to all that are going through, difficult times right now in Israel. So let's pull that together. What have I said? I asked you about freeze, the freeze response. So what are you thinking about the freeze response? Like, what happens to you when you freeze? Do you go into a freeze response? I haven't had any feedback yet, so let me just check this other chat. I haven't been looking at it. It might be people in that one. I don't think I can find it. Anyway, I can look later. All right, because interesting, when we were speaking about the freeze response and whether you went into the freeze response, most people, unless you're really going into that extreme of freeze, will say no, they're not likely to freeze. They're likely to punch and kick and fight or run, or get out of, yeah. Yes, I freeze. I started shutting down. All right. Well, what I'm gonna share a little bit with you. And I mean, if you're interested, if I'm not actually selling anything on these, so I'm just thinking, if you need help, contact me. So with the freeze, what this is a lack of energy. Okay, so let's get to the energy bit and we'll pull the rest together because it's all talking about the same thing. Everything that I've spoken about so far is a different language from a different perspective of the same thing. Okay, so when we get triggered, right, it's never necessarily by the experience, external experience. It's a remembrance. It's how the brain and nervous system function with implicit and explicit memory. I'll tell you about that another day. So how that's recalled. And the brain can be lazy. We can be lazy. And so we just put things together and go, oh, that's close enough. Near enough's good enough. Good enough's perfect. That's what I used to say. Near enough's good enough. Good enough's perfect, right? That's what the brain does. Or that sort of feels sort of like that, so that's what it is. Okay? So if you feel nervous, you'll say, oh, I'm nervous. I spent years retraining people on what nervous is, because people would come to me when I had my clinic in Perth. I'd turn up and I'd say, I'm nervous. And I say, okay, tell me what that is. What do you mean? I'm nervous or I'm anxious. Usually the word is anxious. And I'll say, show me where it is in the body. Tell me what's happening in the body. Describe it to me and where it moves. And they would describe it. And I would re-educate them in what's actually going on in their body. Right? And re-language what anxious is for them. Majority of the time they weren't anxious. Right? Their brain was saying, that's what they've heard, that's what they've seen, that's what other people have said, so that's the word I'm going to use. Do you see what I mean? We all do it. We all do it. I saw the dog and I said, oh, the puppy. I didn't know if it was a puppy or not. Or maybe I did, but right? But I could have said, oh, a small white dog, young, whatever. Our brain just goes, pulls together in a particular way, parcels it, there it is, okay? What I'm sharing and what I will continue to share is how you can be more conscious so that you can make more conscious choice. Most of us are running on this sort of encoding, right? Why do you do what you do? And if you tracked, if you wanted to, you could, there's a little challenge for you. If you tracked what you did through the day, why do you, when you wake up, do you have a morning routine? You wake up and you do the same thing every day for a certain amount of time or whatever, right? Track it. Why do you do it? Is it something you've just done or something somebody told you and you just continue to do it? Why do you do it? Diet, what you eat. Let's not call it diet, but just what you eat, your nutrition. Do you understand how your physical works and what you put into it, how that works, how some of that goes into the bloodstream and some doesn't? And why it's important to know what's what, particularly if you have trauma and stress, shock. And layer on top of that, if you're a woman from the late 30s, early 40s onwards. Why? Are you still there, Nicole? Why? I told her yesterday. Do you remember? Right? Even though she's not necessarily in that, older age group, but preparing. So, does it sound like I'm jumping all over the shop? I've gone from, right, she said hormones, right? I've gone from energy, subtle energy, aura, higher soul heart, figure eight, or infinity, positive and negative and neutral mind. I've gone to the energy of the food we eat, understanding how the brain, our nervous system, how we make decisions and choices. When we get to number 4, neutrality, we can make a conscious choice. Beyond that, it isn't conscious. Beyond that, it is not a conscious choice. It is an unconscious programming. Mum did it, Dad did it, Nan did it, Pa did it, aunties and uncles did it, my friends did it, or whatever. It's encoded, it's there. What is it you're doing? What is it that you want? What does your body and system need? Right? Are they questions that you're interested in? So this is the sort of stuff I want to share with you on these lives going forward. Why? Because it's what I'm living. It's what I see in my field. It's what people are coming to me with this, and then I'm looking at their system or watching them as they speak, and there's trauma there. There is stuck energy. Stuck energy. Trauma, illness, disease is energy either under-energized or over-energized. Love and fear, contraction, expansion, masculine, feminine. I don't care what language you use. I just want you to understand the polarity. Life is that. And when you get it, you'll see it in everything you look at, everything you read, everything. You'll just see it in everything. And that's why I can see the patterns in the world. I always have. I can go, they're talking about that, and that they're talking about that, and they're talking about that, and it's completely different language, but you can see it in everything because it's a mystic truth. It's the seed of the truth of where everything else grows from, right? So back to nutrition. I just started working out again, right? So I have a particular way of eating and being when I'm building strength. So I'm over 50, right? Yeah, shock horror. I'm over 50, right? So the way that I'm looking after my body now is different to when I was in my 40s, although I was sort of around the same then. So let's say my 30s. When I'm working out, I'm about building strength. I don't care how big or small I am. I really do not care as long as I'm strong, right? Because as we get older, men and women, it's harder to build strength, right? It's harder. The muscle that I built a couple of years ago, I was buff, people. I didn't show it off or anything, but I worked, like I had muscle. And the last nearly year and a half, coming here and moving and like a whole different country and everything, it's diminished because I don't have the same setup and blah, 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 excuse, right? I remember when I lived in Africa, I used empty water bottles, soft drink bottles. I filled them with water and used them as my weights, or I would use big tins of food and I would use them as my weights, or I would make stones, right? Like there's no excuse. You can do it anywhere. I've lived in third world countries. I still kept my strength. So anyway, I'm getting back into it. The reason why I was going to post all my big pots of food that preparing my meals. Why? So that I can just grab the vegetables. I'm a vegetarian, by the way, so I'm building strength, building muscle on a plant-based diet. Okay? So there are other things I need to look at. What? It's all about energy, people. Don't lose it. Don't glaze over because you're not interested in nutrition. I mean, I'm not necessarily either, other than for this reason. Some food goes into the small intestine, some into the large intestine, some goes into the bloodstream and creates issues with your insulin, right? Why is that important? So I'm going to write a post about this that's more succinct. Okay, I've already started because I was going to post yesterday and then it just got so big. I was like, I can't post this. It's like a blog, right? Why? Energy. The diet or the foods that I eat create in my system a slow drip of energy. So I've always got energy. Most people are eating food that is a bam and then you drop, right? Now, if you're older, I don't care if you're a man or woman, but particularly women, if you're older, this is something to really look at. So I'm going to give you, I will post more of a breakdown, but I was talking to my stepdaughter yesterday and she's working out and everything, and she said, I just can't get the protein. And I said, I'll send you the meal plans and all the rest of it, right? Because you can. It's just you may not have been told, right? If you're a meat eater or, whatever, you still got to try and get the right food to, to get the calories without eating like nachos. Like we had nachos the other day, last week. It was like 700 calories, right? So that's energy. But it was food that's going to go and spike my insulin. Now, my cells, particularly if you're, premenopause, menopause, postmenopause, right? If that's you, listen up. If it's not you, listen up for other reasons. Your cells, right? Your cell walls have a polarity. So some of you have heard about that from me before, and how I've worked with, see, I'm not allowed to say certain things live, right? So I've worked with certain conditions that link to insulin and glucose and all that sort of stuff, right? Why is that happening? The cell walls are either closing up, repelling, or taking too much. So when our ovaries stop producing estrogen, our fat, our adipose cell, our fat, right, basically, and our adrenals take over the production. Why is that important? You're starting to see the picture or not? We still need to put a few more bits in. So if you're stressed, if you're dealing with chronic stress or trauma or shock, and you're older, your hormones are trying to do their job. You may have adrenal fatigue or adrenal surges, right? Then your cortisol's trying to bring that down and navigate the bursts of energy, right? And the insulin's flooding through your body and your cells can't absorb it. So anyway, long story short is, why do we put on more adipose cell, right, fat, to help with the estrogen? But if you eat certain foods, because you need the energy, right? So the body's holding fat in certain places for energy, and it can't get it the way that it used to get it, right? So we've got to start looking at, okay, what are your adrenals doing? Have you got adrenal health? And even if you're not a woman, and even if you're not over, 35 or 40, majority of people are in, like, their adrenal health, their adrenals aren't healthy, right? How that's working. We're in this constant state of fear. Fear. Fear in itself isn't anything, it's just a polarity, right? But the fear of fear is what gets you. So adrenal health, number one. Cortisol health, because cortisol is what tries to come in and bring the stress response into homeostasis. But if you're in ongoing stress, so those who have been diagnosed with PTSD or CPTSD or whatever else, complex trauma, relational trauma, you may have, it tends to be, from what I've seen, and there is some research out there around the correlations between low cortisol and post-traumatic stress, right? You start to deplete, right? So in trauma, there's like too much, or not enough. So what did I say with energy? Over-energized, under-energized, neutrality. Love, fear, neutrality. Positive mind, negative mind, neutrality. Too much, not enough, right? So when I work with children, we would teach them around like psychoeducation, around like the foot on the gas, right? You've had your foot on the brake for so long, while your foot's been on the gas, that the brake pads have worn out. You can't slow down. So they're like hyper aroused. Woo, woo, jumping off the roof and trying to drive your car at 8 and, you know, right? Or they're low. They've slowed down so much that they need stimulation. Okay. You with me? Still with me? Some of you still with me? Got any questions? I'm going to link this in another way now. Remember, I asked you about your freeze response. Do you go into freeze? Do you understand freeze, or what's your understanding of the freeze response? Because I'm going to bring it in this way. So we know the doer, do. In yoga, we call that cold depression. So we have depression and cold depression. Cold depression is where you can't stop. You're after stimulation. You're a doer, right? And months back, you can go back into the archives, just put in cold depression. I did a whole, you were there, Rebel, weren't you? It was, how long ago was it? Maybe 6 months ago now. It was a while ago, wasn't it? I did a whole like mini series on lives around cold depression and this sort of stuff from the yogic perspective. It's really interesting. Well, I think it is. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shared it with you, because that talks about going from the Piscean age into the age of Aquarius and what we're going to see. And all the prophecies are showing themselves. 20 years ago, it was like, we're going to see more mental health, we're going to see more depression, we're going to see, all of this sort of stuff. And we are, to some degree, right? If that's the only lens you look through. Or to see a lot of growth, a lot of awareness, a lot of awakening. But what's happening with those people, some of you are opening up, right? You're awakening. You're getting more awareness. You're getting more of that consciousness to make choice. And your sensitivities are, what's the word? You're navigating these new sensitivities, let's say. Would you say that? It's like you're aware, you have some consciousness, and your physical body suffering is another way to say it. High vibration, low tone. High vibration, low tone. Meaning you can touch the beloved to some degree. You actually can't, but anyway. Right. I'm going to do a series on that. All the aspects of God here, beyond here, and the primordial light. Anyway, where was I? Freeze, fear, cold depression. So, freeze response. Now, how many of you, and I can't see you, so maybe just do a heart or an emoji or something to let me know. I can see on Instagram, on the Zoom, and on Rhombus Healing Arts Facebook page. The others I'll have to look at later. But maybe put it in the chat so that I can see it later, because if you just press the heart thing, I can't see it later. It disappears. When you wake up in the morning, do you press snooze a lot? Put a thumbs up. Put a thumbs up in the chat. Do you press snooze a lot? Or is it difficult for you to get out of bed? Or Are you someone? I know a lot of these people. I was one. I mean, I could give you some of my examples because I'm a bit of all of it. That you can fluctuate between hyper-aroused and hypo-aroused. So don't think it's just one. It's this dance of the window of tolerance. Pardon me. I'm just thinking, I talked about that recently. So, but if you've got questions, you want to know more about things, ask me so that I can come, prepared with more on that, or make a live just on what you want to know. Otherwise, I just free roll it and see what comes in. Sometimes I do want to stay in bed longer. Okay, so those of you that stay in bed and need to get up either to take your kids to school or feed them or go to work or feed the dog or something like that, and you wait till the last minute, and then just say you have to leave by 8:30, and it's 8 o'clock, and you have to have a shower, make your food, whatever, and then it keeps pushing, and it's 8:15 and you're still in bed. It's the pressure that we create. So listen up, because you can put in your whatever. I'll give you some other examples, but this is just in case you need to go. It's the pressure we create for ourselves to bring us out of the freeze, right? So having stimulants. So it's when remember I said too much or not enough? When there's not enough stimulus, right, for too long, or there's too much stimulus. This is too much, not enough, okay? So when there's not enough stimulus, we can't, the energy isn't flowing. And so we will create discord, right? We'll create drama, right? Or we'll create tension. I mean, you can call it all sorts of different things. It's like when things are going really well, think about this. Because I had to go through this myself back in the day. It's like my life was so full. I'm ex-military, by the way, right? It's like go, 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 go. It's always and raising 2 kids and, studying and, being in charge of millions of dollars for the Defence Force, right? I was a quartermaster sergeant. I overviewed all the equipment, held the checkbook, right? And I was like 23, probably 25 years old. A lot of responsibility. Do you think I wasn't anxious back then? Oh my God, that's when I was an overachiever. Why? Because of that. Well, what if I make a mistake, and all of this sort of stuff, right? So when I was in the normal world, it was a little bit slow for me. Right? So people that have known me, most of my adult life, people have said, I don't know how you do all the things that you do. It's because my system was trained to be in that. And when it's not, it's foreign to me, and my system goes into stress. I am fantastic in a crisis. You want me on your side when the shift hits the fan, right? I am so cool, calm, and collected when at the most extreme of times. I function well. That's why I was good at all my jobs. It comes from my early childhood, how I grew up. I was used to chaos. How many of you are used to chaos? So what I had to do is retrain my nervous system to be okay with calm, looking at the ocean. Oh, there's the trees and the birds. La 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 la. I'm always like, I feel like I should be doing something. What have I forgotten to do? You should see my refrigerator, right? I said to Eric yesterday, I've run out of room on the refrigerator because I use it as my whiteboard like my whiteboard, right? And I don't know, some of you, so I'm putting together a new interview series. So, you know, I'm interviewing all these people, and there's times, and there's emails, and you know, the banner I just got back. So, you know, I've got a few little tweaks to make. You know, all of this stuff to do on top of the normal. And I'm like, as long as I can see it, I'm good. If I can't see it, so I've got two whiteboards behind the thing here full, they're no good to me, because if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. Who's like that? Who's a little ADHD, right? If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. So you leave things out. I've got my Hebrew out because I've got to practice for tomorrow. Got Hebrew tomorrow, right? So I've left my Hebrew book out right there. When I finish this live, well, I've got other things to do, but right, I've got my piles of journals, all these different journals, right? Because they're all for different things. I've got piles of journals, you know, and they're just there, and they're all slightly different because I just know what's in each journal. You could say to me, there was a lesson 2 years ago on such and such, and I'll look at my journals and go, it's in that one, because I have that sort of memory. But if it's in the computer or in my phone, it does not exist. It doesn't exist. I don't care how you set me up. I have spreadsheets and whatnot, right? But I need to see it. I need to see it. So I either need another refrigerator or a wall, another wall planner I can write on. Someone keeps calling me. I'm going to have to plug this one in. So where was I? So I can sit and do no thing for I don't know, as long as I haven't timed it right now. I don't have to do a darn thing now, because, well, if I have nothing to plan or no one to talk to or nothing to, you know, create or whatever, I will sit with the beloved, or I'll sit and watch the birds. You know, at the moment I'm watching my new veggie garden. Rebel, I pulled out those yellow weeds. I thanked them for what they gave me, but now it's time for vegetables. I'm like, if we're going to plant stuff, I want to be able to eat it, particularly because of what I told you about the energy, right? So back to the freeze. The freeze comes from the stress response, yeah? You know, I believe you know that. To work with the freeze response, we have to work with the stress response to get to that part of the nervous system, right? But just to identify it, it's nothing. It's okay. Majority of people have some sort of freeze, right? And some sort of a flight. And even that flight could be just removing, you know, you may not be able to remove yourself physically, but you remove your attention. And how we can start to, so do you want me to go on about that freeze? I'm just looking at the time. We're going to wrap up shortly, but what I'll do is I'll give you smaller pieces of each of the bits that I've talked about, so that you can go and just read it. I'm planning on doing little posts. I'm also planning on doing. I'm going to work out when to start it, though. I've mentioned it the other week. A membership where you can come and do the processes to heal, right? To start to work with your energetic and your physiological nervous system, right? It's the core of what I do. But in the programs, what we do is we do all this other stuff, which is all cool. We did the painting on my painting over there. I don't know if you can see it from here. No, can't. It's over there. Anyway, so we bring in tools like painting, breath work, movement, sensory motor, somatic work, and whatnot, right? Because if you're on your spiritual journey, which most of you, I would say that if you're watching me, you are, because I'm a mystic, and hey, at some point there'll be a ceiling, right? It doesn't mean you can't go further. It means that there are things or areas that need addressing, that need to be revisited. And I don't think there's one person I've worked with that hasn't said, oh, I thought I dealt with that. It's like, I'm going to tell you my truth now, because it's like I'll never laugh at you, just know that. But life is a bit of a cosmic joke to me, so I giggle a lot, and right? Because I see the love and I see the fear. I see that it's the joy of it all. We need to. So if I was teaching it from a spiritual perspective, I would be saying we're ratcheting up the spiral, right? And the spiral is multi-dimensional. And so you may have dealt with your mother or your father or your childhood or whatever it is, what you've encoded on one level of understanding of consciousness. As you keep opening and raising and becoming more aware, and you look at something again, you see it from a different perspective. You can only see so much from where you are at that moment. I had this little debate with someone the other day. It was awesome. I love these conversations because and he was saying, like a broad statement of if only this or if only that. And I'm like, humans, they can't do that like that. It's not, right? There's the potential. There's the possibility. So those of you that, did I tell you that the et, the E and the T, right? In Hebrew, the aleph and the tav, the beginning letter and the end letter of the alphabet, and everything in between. So it entails the whole alphabet. The Shekinah, or the Divine Mother, they call et. In the spiritual mystic understanding, they call it the et, which means all potential, right? So she is all potential. We are all the potential between the beginning and the end. This is a little trivia for you that, that's also a passion of mine, like purely because, the Great Mother has led me for most of my life to this point. So you have all the potential. So the possibility of, being graced, touched by the hand, and, miraculously healed or enlightened, right? That's there. majority may not see that. So let's look at what needs to happen on that journey of conscious creative evolution of the human Homo sapiens sapien to Homo spiritus. What needs to happen? The expression of your emotion, when you are unable, or let's just say unable to express your emotions, how you feel, what you want to say, it suppresses the nervous system. That charge, the charge from the word, the thought, the action, is held in the body and in your system. And with guidance, you can discharge that, depending on how deep it is. So not to go too much into student stuff, but yesterday we touched on this. And in a nutshell, they were saying, when I did it myself, I couldn't get this deep. Of course, you're not going to be able to. So I'm going to give you something simple that you can do yourself to go to those deep levels. So I will give you first aid. I will share as much first aid for free. You can have it, right? And I do. I'm constantly sharing techniques and tools and whatnot that you can do yourself. I cannot teach you or share with you how to do the surgery. Does it make sense? I can teach you the first aid, but for surgery, you go to a surgeon, right? When you've broken an arm, you go to a doctor or an orthopedic surgeon, right? To mend to put the bone back in place or whatever. So there's so much that you can do yourself. But what happens to go any deeper is the fear comes in and will prevent you, because the emotion comes up and the felt sense comes into the body and it scares you. And that's okay, right? But it will prevent you from going further because it's scary. So when I say that I stand in the fire, and it's usually in a more the spiritual work is like when they come to that void and they witness, it's like a death rebirth, and they witness all the things that terrify them, and we stand and they move through. It's like going from the depth of hell into the light of heaven. It's like that's the awakening, right? That's the death alchemy, or part of the death alchemy process. But you can do that for the physical, because that will help you reach higher, vaster. I mean, there's no real higher or lower, right? It's all here, right? But humans like to say inside, outside, up, down, left, right. We talk that way. How you can progress in your consciousness to be able to be at that 4 and say, I am choosing, I am freely choosing. You talk about free will. Most humans do not have free will. I used to talk about 1% free will, the yes or the no. But really, we're still only saying yes or no based on what we're encoded, our beliefs and conditioning patterns. So when we get out of that, we have full free will and conscious choice to say yes or no based on new information, not what we're encoded, not what our culture or our gender or our history or our ancestors or our fear has stated, right? Who have I Who have I triggered today? Who have I? Are you okay? What's come up? What's come up? So? Speaking of what's coming up, I'm going to give you this tool, this little tool, and then we'll wrap up. Okay. So I don't know if I'll have to draw it. Let me just put all this stuff back. So you can draw a picture of the body. So just the outline of the body, right? I don't think I need to draw it. Just draw, an outline of the body. Head, torso, arms, legs. It doesn't matter what it looks like. No one's going to see it. And, But what you could use this for is mapping the sensation. So we can do it like this. So we can do it with sitting in your power and just sitting and experiencing, dropping into the physical. So some of you are real cosmonauts and are a little out there, or like, you're sort of like spiritual warriors, right? You're all off into the heavens. That's okay. Well, the goal for me and my people, you could be one of them, is the bridging of heaven and earth. So as you expand into all there is, you still have an awareness of who you are on every level. You're not. So you're still grounded. You're still anchored, right? Because you're here for this human experience, and the whole human experience is the soul to spirit connection, the unity in that way. When our time comes, we will leave this body and travel on. But until that time, we are incarnated and we have the pleasure and the gift of being incarnated into this vehicle. And so how we connect, how we look after this vehicle, how we understand its energy requirements, its subtle energy requirements, and the physical energy requirements of like what we eat, how what we eat becomes an aspect of us, how that works in our bodies at different stages of our lifespan, how we can utilize energy in, energy out more effectively and efficiently. It's really quite simple, right? It really is quite simple. It gets complex. It gets complex when, I guess when it's not truth, it's not from that, you're coming back to this, the tip of the heaven and the tip of the earth, and they need to touch, they need to kiss for that to happen. And they become one, right? And that's your light body. So you've drawn your body, and you're just going to touch into your physical body and feel and experience it. So just do that for a moment. And when you feel a tension or some sort of response to your inquiry into the body, note it on your map of the body, your map of yourself, the human, right? And so I'll just give you a moment. I made a cup of tea, and I didn't take one sip, and now it's cold as cold can be. So have you mapped your sensation? I'm not going to take you deep into it. That's what we would do if we were doing somatic work or sensory motor psychotherapy, something like that, and go deep into the piece of the story. So we're not about talking about the story necessarily, but it could be, for instance, you could use just for a quick one, right? Just to give you a sense of how bringing a memory, or bringing the energy of a memory into your consciousness, right? How your body responds, right? Because there are aspects of that thought. So think of nothing too dire, right? Just maybe a misunderstanding that happened recently, or something you wish you had have done or not done. But it may be a misunderstanding. Might be in text or an email, or you were speaking to somebody, or you talked to somebody at the shop or at work or whatever, right? So just bring that to mind and feel into the body. And just notice the body. Just notice where it is now. So you're not going too deep into it, you're just touching on a piece. So it might be how you felt in that interaction, right? You may not know how you felt, but you'll feel how you felt, right? And take that, drop it into the body and go, okay, how does my body respond? How does my physical respond to that piece of information? And mark it on your body, on your drawn map. Just mark it. Now there may be a word for that feeling. You might be able to language that feeling. It might be, I feel a tingling or a pressure or a tension or a numbness or a, whatever that might be. And so write that on your paper, or make note. And breathe. And just notice. You don't necessarily have to tell a story about it. It's just, what is your body experiencing when you bring that memory to mind, to your consciousness? Okay. And then I just want you to track it. So as I'm talking, just track it. So if you have your pen and paper or your pencil and paper, place a mark where you feel the tension, and just move the pen or the pencil where that sensation is moving to. And if it's in both arms, just mark both arms. If it's in your feet, if it's in your head or your ears or your throat, your chest, just make contact with it. You're identifying the energy that's in the system. So you remember something, and it is languaged in the physical, right? Your body has a language. I'm fluent in the language of your human system, energetically, physiologically. That's the majority of my work, is listening to what your system is trying to tell you and translating that, or helping you understand the language so that you can have a relationship, an intimate relationship with yourself. Why? You can then start to have that intimacy with the self. Heaven and earth. So just notice whether that has moved through. Just noticing it and allowing it to be. is something that you could do for yourselves. How we would do that when I can see you would be different, because I would be monitoring your physiology and your energy and assisting you to go to places that you may not feel safe on your own to access. Now, the reason why, one of the reasons why this is interesting process, I guess, is because we can divide our attention when things are happening in the world, and often with great body trauma, we will divide our attention or split our attention. So we have our general state of consciousness, which is our everyday state of consciousness. Those who have done trance or intuitive studies with me understand that, right? We have our everyday general state of consciousness, and then when we move into other states of consciousness, right, to access different parts of the self. With the trauma, stress, shock, touching into unconscious aspects, right? So anger, for instance. Do you know anybody who gets so angry that they it's like they black out? They can't recall what they said or did. Or when they come back to their general state of consciousness, they can't believe what they said or did. It's like, I can't believe it. And you may have had that on a smaller scale, or you may have had that, and it's okay. It's okay, right? You can repair. You can repair. Think about a time, or recall a time when you've responded in a way that you wish you hadn't. So not a major thing, just a small thing, right? And feel that in your body. And track that. Right? There's all different things you can track. So we can track it, on the spiritual levels and for, altered states of consciousness in that way, or we can track it for our physiological, or our laid down memory, right? But it's unconscious. But the body and the energy system stores it. It holds it. And there's an aspect of you that is not aware of it, right? So you've split or divided your awareness. So when you bring something to mind, and I'm watching you, I see where the body is holding it and is trying to express, discharge the energy that's held. The word you didn't say, the scream you couldn't say, the no you wanted to scream and couldn't because you froze, right? It's okay. You're okay. The push away, the putting the arm out, I use that one a lot because, I used to stack my push bike all the time when I was little. Or fall off my horse, or falling out of trees, or all the rest of it. I was a tomboy. I liked to explore and stuff. And I had an older brother, so I just hung out with him, building the billy carts and roller skating down Killer's Hill and all these things, right? So when we fall and we go to protect ourselves, and our face plants into the road or whatever, there's a stuck energy of, it could be that, or it could be that, or it could be some other movement. It could be kicking, it could be in the jaw, it could be in the throat, screaming, get out! When I had a home invasion, I had 2 home invasions in like, it was under a month. Anyway, I woke up to this man he had this broom, he had a big broom, right, standing at my door in the bedroom, and I woke up I heard all the birds screeching, like the cockatoos. There's like, you know, about 50 cockatoos screeching. And I woke to that and I looked around and I saw this strange man standing in my doorway. And I went, get out of my house. Like I was like, "Bleh." And he ran. He ran. Oh, thank God he ran. I locked myself into my bedroom and called the police because I was like, but he ran. And when the police came, I climbed out the window. I was like, I don't know if he's in there or not. But I was like, I wasn't going in there. But you see, I was able to say something. I was able to get myself out of that situation, right? So there's situations that maybe you weren't able to get out of, or like I remember abseiling once. I'm scared of heights, so my friend, in his wisdom, used to take me abseiling or rock climbing to try and work that out, and I did it and all the rest of it. But one day he didn't tie me off properly, and so he's like, all right, you're right, lean back. And I leant back and the rope just went and I fell I didn't fall all the way, but I fell to this little ledge. Anyway, so there would be energy in my system around that because I didn't get hurt or anything, but there was a fear, I thought I was dying. I thought, I'm gonna hit the bottom and splat. Right? So there are things that we wish we had said or done, and some of you I'm just feeling into whether I should say this or not. Feel into this. So as I'm speaking, feel into your body. As I'm speaking, are you getting triggered? If you are, note it on the paper. Recognize it, note it on the paper. You're addressing it. You're bringing consciousness to it. When you bring consciousness to an unconscious repression of this energy that hasn't been able to expel, you can start to allow it to move through. Fire, right? Just a little bit. We're not doing deep work here. We're doing stuff that, just by identifying it, right? If you do have, if you are highly triggered, if you've got trauma, post-traumatic stress complex, trauma, those sorts of things, you're being, or it might even be undiagnosed, right? And you're triggered. Okay. Breathe. Take a deep breath. Fill your lungs. Give yourself a hug. Containment. Containment. Squeeze down the arms, containing yourself. You're safe in the body. Release the breath. Squeezing the large muscles of the arms and the legs is a great way for containment, but also to bring in part of the nervous system that's calming. Right? So if you're getting a little bit like, oh shit, I'm not sure whether I want to go into this or whatever, don't. Wait until we run these groups where it'll be on Zoom and I can see you and I can assist you to go through it, or book a session with me and we can go through it one-to-one. But for now, you're still tracking. So get used to tracking, whether it's in your mind's eye or on the piece of paper. Track what's happening with your body. Let me know. Right? Let me know. Particularly if you're having a lot go on. If you're having a lot go on, drop it all and do the breathing and do the containing. Squeezing down the arms, the large muscles. comes, you can rub down and pull off the hands. That's also accessing triple warmer, which is a part of the energetic nervous system. You can come across the eyebrows, around the back of the ears, and cross over at the neck, picking up the vagus nerve, and breathe. Do that a couple of times. But for those of you that are doing all right, you can still do this. But those of you that are doing all right, you know, you feel like want to go through this. Notice where there was something you wish you had have said, or you know, as a disagreement, and continue tracking that in the body. And notice if you can move that through, or at least it moving. We have a way of knowing here in this house. It's that if the energy is moving, it's all good. If we've got pain and it's moving, it's all good. Right? If it's stuck, then, you know, we bring attention to it, we bring consciousness to it, and, you know, often it'll move through. There might be other things we might need to do, and we'll, you know, have that relationship with what's going on. So when it's sort of moving through, it's trying to discharge. So if you choose something that's not too extreme, you should be able to move it through fairly quickly. You know, you might feel like you need to shake your hands or move, stomp your feet, move your jaw, stick your tongue out, maybe make sound, you know, cough, whatever that might be, and just let me know what happened. Drink my cold tea. Actually tastes all right. I've got 2 different tea bags. I've got a passion fruit tea with Earl Grey. They were leftover tea bags from this morning, so I just reused them. I thought, that might be a nice concoction. It's not bad. So what happened? Did you do it? Did anyone do it? Did you feel, so just feel into your body now. So close your eyes, take a breath. Unless you're writing to me. Speak to me. Breathe. How are you now? How are you now? Some of you are doing it because I can feel it. It's interesting, I was saying this yesterday. Some of you know that have done intuitive studies. It's like I feel you thinking in my prefrontal cortex. It's like I feel you. It's like, okay, yeah. So cool. So what happened, Lisa? Do you have, like, how do you feel now? How did you feel when you went through it? Like, do you have a word for your sensation? Hip came up, did figure 8, feels better now. Okay. So I'm gonna give a little challenge to Lisa around that. So when we do this type of work and it comes up and it feels uncomfortable, allow it to stay uncomfortable. See, because I can't see you and you're not in conversation with me directly, I'm only willing to go so far, right? That's cool. That's cool, Tina. But you can do this, and actually I've got an audio. Nicole, are you still there? So I believe, you see, I do so much. I forget what I done when and how. So I believe I have an audio of a similar process that I did for Sai. And if I do, I believe I do, I will, I'll post it so you can take yourself through it by listening, right? It's a more succinct, it's only a few minutes, right? So you could do that safely, you know, and just as a caveat, if things come up for you, go and get help. You can always work with me, but you know, if you have a therapist or a you know, somebody that you work with, go to them. But generally, just touching in by yourself will be perfectly fine, right? It's sort of like just, okay, touching in, and we call it titrating. You just touch in and then you come out. To do the deeper work, you know, we have to have that monitoring, I guess, because we want you to have the discomfort for it to express. And if, for instance, you have a pain, say in your hip, and you're not sitting with it long enough to understand what it needs, you're going to try and fix it before you have the consciousness around it. Do you understand what I mean? If it's extreme, you know, there, and you have a regulation, or you hit your wall, right? Okay, this is feeling uncomfortable. I'm not willing to go any further by myself. Yes, use a regulation skill like a breath or the containment or the triple warmer or the figure eights, figure eight on any pain, even spindle, I call it spindle selling, like little pinches can help pain. If you've got pain in a muscle or something, you can just do these little butterfly pinches. It's like spindle selling. It sends messages through the nerves to the nervous system. So what's I felt tension in my abdomen area. With a misunderstanding, I felt tension in my abdomen area. Did that move through? You can nod. Yes? Okay. I just had to look down because you're in the dark. Awesome. So, yes, but it first moved up to my shoulders. Yes. I won't say this is a common pattern, but I've seen it, you know, I see certain patterns in humans, right? Because it's our nervous system and whatnot. It all comes slightly differently, but it can start in that sort of solar plexus area and move up. You can move to the throat and the jaw and the mouth, or the shoulders into the arms, right? So what's fight, flight, freeze? Right? Right? Or run into the legs. So the jaw is an interesting one. Sometimes the tongue, the back of the throat, sometimes you salivate. It could be that, you know, you're holding tension in the jaw, in the mouth, because, or the throat, or all of it, because you needed to say something. There's an energy of, you know, and saying it's not going to do a lot. So yesterday, I was demonstrating yesterday, and I was screaming. So the name, everyone would have heard me, and I was screaming to demonstrate the movement and the discharge of energy, right? If you just say, I don't like that, or I don't want that, or go away, or no, or whatever, it's not a discharge. Do you see what I mean? But if you say, get out of my room, right, at the top of your voice, which I was, but I don't want to deafen you, right? That's a discharge. and then feel into what that was. So with the hips, maybe it was, you know, a pushing motion, you know, pushing against the wall. We used to use fit balls, yoga balls, or even pillows. You put them against the wall and squeeze, push your foot against them to get that motion. You're basically just getting the major muscles, right, moving. So pushing, punching, all of that. Now that only works for certain people because that's a hyperarousal, but if it's a hypoarousal, then it wouldn't work, it would be different. So that's why there are different parts of the nervous system that activate or you know, don't have enough energy to discharge through the body in a particular way. And then there's the other side where we don't have enough energy to get us moving, you know. So we stay in the feigned death or the freeze or the you know, then we go through the world sort of lacking energy, you know, lacking vitality, right? And having to create habits to support that state. And I'm saying, rather, you know, you can shift this, and rather than creating external, ingesting external stimulants or creating that tension through waiting to the last minute to get your exam in or your assignment in or getting to work, and then you're rushing, because that builds the adrenaline, right? That builds the charge that gets you going, right? So I better wrap up. I've been going for a while and I've got things I need to do. And we can continue the conversation. So I know I've been known to yell while I am driving in my car. Yeah. So if you marry the sensation with the action, that will help diffuse it, right? Like, what do the arms and legs want to do? What's the hand want to do? What's the body want to do, right? It's interesting in trance, there's a similarity there, right? So those of you that have done trance, the training, what do we do? Like, you know, how the body wants to move when you're in that altered state, right? So just remember that some of these, so this energy, or these experiences that you've had have been stored. I want to say consciously by the body, like the body is aware, but there's an aspect of you that's not aware. Okay, and so to integrate the full human, right? For unity, we need to be integrated and processing and bringing together and having an intimacy with ourself, so that we can do that on all these other levels, right? Can you see the connections between the spiritual aspects and the physical, or, you know, trauma work? If you can't, we can talk about it again another day. All right. So does everyone feel complete with that little process? So we're going to wrap up, but I just want to make sure that you're feeling complete. Actually, to complete, just in case you're just not talking to me, but you're not complete, we're going to, I'll ring the bell 3 times. Just putting your feet on the floor. When I say do you feel complete, what I'm saying is, do you feel here? Do you feel in your body, or do you feel like you're sort of still off somewhere else? Right? Coming back to the body, put your feet on the floor, give them a stomp. There's a shock point on the bottom of the heel that can express energy too. Diffuse energy. It can stop you from going into shock, and it can help release some shock. You can do it slowly too, but just from this moment, just stomp your heels 2 or 3 times on the floor. Click your heels together like that, like Dorothy, because there's points on the inside of the heels, bladder 61, that help. And you know, if you want to spoon your feet, I dropped my, oh, here it is. I use this little cup because our spoons here aren't stainless steel, but this little cup is now my spoon. You know, get a stainless steel spoon or something stainless steel, and just figure eight your feet a few times to help your earthing, right? Just to help you come back into the body a little bit. If you happen to, because if you are experiencing trauma, you probably did space out a little, right? Put your hands on your thighs. Take a deep breath in. Let's do 3 breaths in. Hold for 3. 3 breaths out. Hold for 3. Right? Do some rounds of that. So you take a breath in. Hold for 3. Out for 3. And hold out for 3. Now you can do that longer. It's called the 1-minute breath. So you work your way up to 20 breaths in, hold for 20, 20 breaths out. So do that. Now I'm just going to ring the bell, the gong, connect with your body. If you're still feeling a little off, just squeezing the legs, down the legs, squeezing down the arms. If you feel fine, you don't have to do any of that. Just coming back to our circle, coming back into this space, being fully aware where you are, what's in the room. Navigate the room, orientate the room a little, just look around at some objects around the room, knowing, okay, I'm here in this room now. I'm on the computer or my phone, on my iPad. I'm watching Cynthia talk about energy, listening to the bell. My bottom is on the seat or on the floor. My back is against the wall or the chair. I can feel my toes wiggling. I can feel my fingers. Breathe. And 1 big deep breath. So are you all now complete? You're all now complete. Let me know how you went with that. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments, even if you're watching a replay, so that I can help you navigate that. What comes up for you, what you may have concerns about. And like I said, if there are any concerns, please contact me on wherever you're watching. Just direct message me or email me. And I can help you navigate that process. Okay. No questions, no, I believe you. I'm just leaving it 30 seconds to see if you're all okay. Okay. Looks like you're all good. Right, well, thank you for joining us. Until we meet again, may the blessings be. See you, Rebel.